Rich Niemann. St. Louis has produced a big number of outstanding pro basketball players, beginning with Easy Ed McCauley, and through the years, players like Bill Bradley, Steve Stepanovich, JoJo White, Anthony Bonner, Bob Ferry, Larry Hughes, to the current crop of Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal, just to name a few. But the biggest of the big men is Rich Niemann. Rich averaged 25 points a game as he led DeBerg High School to the state championship. He scored 40 points and grabbed 15 rebounds in the title game. He stayed home for college and went to St. Louis University, where he averaged a double-double, 17 points and 13 rebounds a game. The 7-footer was drafted in the 4th round of the NBA draft by the Detroit Pistons. He played for the Pistons in Milwaukee in his first season, then to the Boston Celtics. Rich moved to the ABA for 3 more seasons in the pros. He averaged 11 points and 9 rebounds for the Carolina Cougars in the 69-70 season. He went back to school after his pro career for a master's degree and spent many years as a teacher and coach. And tonight, we're honored to welcome one of the best, Rich Niemann, into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. What you got to see about this interview is that Greg Marasek and Rich, can you both guys stand up?
No. We're going to do that later.
They both played on this. They played on the same team.
Yeah, I was.
We did.
Yes, we did. And Rich would just say, "Just lob it to me. Just lob it to me." Yeah, you've never been called Shorty, have you?
Yes.
Well, I certainly have.
Right.
Well, listen, many in this room have great high school memories, and I know you do. And you've got Bishop DeBerg folks here to help honor you. What was the great memories from DeBerg?
The best memory, of course, was the teamwork. I try to tell students that you're going to forget how many points you scored in a game or how many rebounds you got in a game, but you will never lose the friendships that you developed in those times. So working together, competing together, for me, is the most important part of all of that.
But you can't forget the 45 points you scored in the state championship game. That's a lot of points in high
Won't
school.
forget them, but I had a lot of help.
And they won that state championship. You know, you have a lot of great relationships because of the Cootis basketball team. How many Cootis guys are here, if you'd stand just for a quick second? Cootis has sponsored normally the best, there they are, national champions. Not this year, but national champions, how many times?
Twice
In the past.
76
in
and
amateur
81.
basketball. And they're still all great friends today. But you have a special relationship with one guy in particular, and that is, and I know he's here, the former Billiken player and Billiken head coach, Randy Albright. Randy, can you stand? Tell us about that friendship.
Randy and I were teammates in the 60s at St. Louis U. He then graduated and stayed as an assistant coach, and he had the pleasure of working with me on the sidelines and helped me a tremendous amount to become a better post player.
You played 3 seasons in the NBA, drafted by the Pistons in the 4th round. I believe that was mentioned by Ron. But your best pro years were with the Carolina Cougars in the ABA.
In 1967, a rival league was formed, very similar to our football buddy who had the AFL, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be traded to Carolina. There were nine Carolinians on the team, and then a couple of us strangers, but we had a great year, and as well as developed the kind of camaraderie that makes sports special.
Who were some of your teammates on that, and did they go to the NBA?
When the ABA merged, several did. Doug Moe, Larry Miller, Randy Mahaffey, Bill Bunton, just a ton of guys. Bob Verga were all teammates in North Carolina.
You remember playing the Spirits of St. Louis?
Well, they were when the Carolina Cougars were sold. 2 gentlemen from New York bought the team and moved them to Spirits of St. Louis.
Right,
Moved them to St. Louis.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so you played with a bunch of the guys who were here.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Well, I'm intrigued by one year, 1969, 1970, when you played for the Boston Celtics. Who were your teammates that season?
That was a short term. Bill Russell had just retired, and they had three guys trying out for center. Henry Finkel was kind of the starter person. Another guy got hurt, so I got picked up. And but I played with John Havlicek, Sat Sanders, Bailey Howell. Great host of characters. Red Auerbach had retired as a general manager, but you always knew who was in charge. So it was a great experience.
It had to be a great experience playing in the great Boston Garden and wearing that green uniform.
Every night was different. There was a different crowd for the Celtics. Mr. Kachuk probably can tell you that when the Bruins came to play, that was a whole nother crowd. But it was a great atmosphere, and again, very fortunate to be there. Another St. Louisan, JoJo White, had joined the team, and he was in the National Guard at the time, and eventually got activated.
What do you think your greatest moments of playing college basketball were?
St. Louis University at the time, we were in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Right.
Earl Austin spoke about his Uncle Wes, and he was a challenge to guard, to say the least. We were able to play in great tournaments. We played in the UCLA tournament. It was always fun to guard Lou Alcindor or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Not very well, but it was, still got the chance to do that. So St. Louis U was a great place for me to attend school.
Yeah, the Missouri Valley Conference at that time was in its heyday.
It was indeed. Got to think of the teams. Louisville, Bradley, Drake, Wichita were
Cincinnati.
all Cincinnati, right? They had won the national tournament with Oscar Robertson. Yes, very, very strong conference.
Did you play against him?
Professionally, I did, not in college. Yeah.
Was he as good as everyone said?
Well, for the few minutes I was on the floor, he was.
Well, as an aside, too, you stepped out of basketball at that point. You coached baseball for 21 years at Brentwood High School.
I did. Brentwood's a small school district, and it was awesome to be able to teach there. I taught science and also coached basketball and baseball. Got to play against Mr. Van Slyke's sons once in the district tournament. That was not very much of a pleasure, but we got to do it. So anyway.
And you're not as famous these days as your lovely wife, Julie, who will be giving stock tips out at the door. Julie Niemann from Channel 5. All those years.
Right. All those
Julie,
years.
you're here?
She is. And my daughter, Christina, who's also a teacher, is with us as well.
What do you see in St. Louis U basketball team? I know you go to all the games, so we'll wrap it up with the current Billikens, Travis Ford, and the young players he has.
I'm very hopeful, as all of us in the room are. I think he's got a nice group of young men playing for him. I hear good things about the summer workouts they're doing, and I guess the next step is to prove it on the floor, but on paper they look really, really good.
That's what we've all been hearing, and yeah, we look for a great season from Missouri and St. Louis U, and I'm hearing talks maybe they can get back together again and play a game.
It would be such an awesome thing. You're looking at a sellout, and that can't hurt the reputation of either school. We've spoken about this among my friends a lot. I don't know why that's a stumbling block. I really don't, but
Well, we'll leave that to Randy to get that fixed and get that done.
that would be awesome if he could.
Rich Niemann, thanks for being a St. Louisan lifelong, for what you've contributed in the game of basketball, and of course to the kids. He too working for the kids at Brentwood High School, and welcome to the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.